Hey y'all, welcome to Journey to Freedom. I am your host, Jamesia, and today we will be discussing overcoming anxious thoughts. And it's great because I have a special guest today. Her name is Wynita. Let's get into it. So, welcome to Journey to Freedom. My name is Jamesia, and I am here with none other than Juanita. Thank you for being here on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. So today we will be discussing overcoming anxious thoughts. Yes. Something that we both are so very familiar with. Anxiety and having been diagnosed as well with anxiety. I chronic anxiety, and you were
Anxiety and panic attacks. Yeah.
That kind of goes into our first part of the discussion, which is how does it feel to be anxious? Like, what does anxiety actually feel like to you?
Um, to me, I feel like anxiety it could come in a number of forms. Like, it could be me just like what I'm doing now with my hands, closing my hands back and forth, wringing my feet, my hands, just being quiet. Sometimes can mean I'm anxious in my head, or maybe talking too much, or just excessively, talking about things, or literally you see me saying, "Oh, I'm anxious. I'm feeling anxious. Like,
Right,
what am I
right,
doing?
right.
Like, I just don't know. Like, I got all this on my mind. Like, this and that. So I feel like it can come in different forms. Yeah.
That's kind of the same for me. Like when I get anxious, I feel like my heart starts racing really fast. Before I really didn't connect the dots. Like before it was just like I would feel my heart beating fast, and that feeling would just take over me. Like my heart would start beating fast, my hands would start shaking. I'll start and I'll start having my breathing would change, and that's me really getting into it, like just letting it go. But when I realized what it was, which was actually more recent than not, I when I started to feel I knew it was coming on because now I understood that was my anxiety, right? The heart beating fast, and then that goes into the triggers, like what triggers those feelings and emotions. For me, one of my triggers anyway, is talking to the kid's dad. Like my kid's father, that is like a really big trigger of mine, that I'm learning to work with. And I've been getting better, but even not the thought of him anymore. It used to be the thought, but now, like, if I'm talking to the kids on the phone, thinking about him being around, depending on where our relationship is at that time, whether we're on good terms or not, I could be really anxious. My heart will beat fast. Like if I see my kids call, or if I see him call, or if I see a text message from him, even reading a message from him, like my heart will start beating when I see court documents come in. I'm like, oh God, what is next? Those things trigger my emotions. They trigger that anxious feeling to come flooding in. What kind of triggers do you think you have?
I got so many. I'm getting better with them though, but like it's anything could really trigger me and be in my head.
Right.
Like, it may not necessarily come across that I've gotten so used to being anxious and like dealing with my anxiety. Like I could be people might not even know that I'm facing anxiety sometimes because I know how to cover it up. I know how to, just go through it, make it through the day with the anxiety, like my thoughts. And really for real, like my thoughts, my overthinking, like overly, excessive thoughts, like impeding thoughts, like those are like my main issues. So I deal with that a lot. So that's kind of like it'll be like me, like now I'm dealing with, getting ready to have a grandchild and trying to prepare for my grandson and just anxious for him to come and like, my kid is worrying me to death about, all what she got going on every second. This is what's happening. This was happening. I'm cramping, and it's just making me more anxious. So I'm like just ready to just have, so I just been kind of going through like an anxious patch right now. So like that's kind of like a trigger for me right now. Like that kind of, cause I was feeling like I was doing pretty good with my anxiety before that. Like, and it's like now it's just like it just kind of like picked up with all the negative thoughts and worrying and just being anxious, and it's just a cycle,
right?
So that is, she's right now is one of my triggers,
right? Yeah.
Waiting for him to come, and right now that's what I'm really dealing with. Sometimes it can be me driving, that like to come through the tunnel just now, right. I'm going through the tunnel like normal. I mean, lately I've been doing pretty good with it, but to just now, like coming over here, like I'm coming through the tunnel, I just felt myself just getting like, I felt it coming on. Right. So I was like, I usually what I do is I start breathing, like I'll breathe, like just breathe out real long, right, and that'll kind of like center me and like calm me down, and or I cut the air on and just get some air in, and for real, sometimes I'll take a hole, like just because the cough drops, I feel like they just give me air, like
the menthol part.
Yes, I don't know why. It's like Deidre said I'm a pill head, whatever he said. It's not a pill. Right. He's talking about me popping holes all the time. Right. I feel like for some weird reason, I feel like it keeps me calm. I don't know what that's about. I really don't. But I've been taking holes because one of my nostrils are always stopped up. So that's why I originally started taking it, taking holes. But now it's just like, now I do it also because it helps me breathe better. But like it just calms me down.
Right.
So maybe it is a mental.
Maybe it's more just like what you feel like it's doing. Because I think a lot of it is like a mental thing. Like, what are you thinking about when that's happening? Right. And what are you relying on to help you feel better when that happens? Right. Like breathing techniques and things like that. Like, that those have been tried and true and they worked, and so you using them now, it's like, okay, well, and that kind of goes along with like what coping skills you use to get rid of that anxious feeling, because it is a feeling, but it's also a mental thing, you know what I'm saying? So it's like when I'm feeling anxious, when I'm having anxiety, I know that I'm thinking about something that isn't, like I'm overly thinking about something that either I'm so worried about what's about to happen in the future that hasn't happened yet, or I'm overly worried about something that has happened and thinking about a consequence maybe that's going to come from it, or something like that. That's how I've learned when I'm thinking about, things, to just stop for a second and analyze my thoughts. Like sometimes even writing when I'm feeling so anxious about something that hasn't happened, like I'm just thinking about perceptual, what's going on in the future or what could possibly happen out of a situation. When I write down what I'm thinking, it also kind of just helps me to realize what I'm thinking is probably kind of crazy too, a little bit. Like maybe that's not a real thing, it's just more of what's in my head, or maybe I'm just so worried about something or so panicked about it because I'm not really organized in what I'm about to do. You know what I'm saying? Like, so that could be an issue. So when I'm writing it out, I can tell what the actual problem is and try to come to some kind of resolution.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, I probably need to start doing that. Like I used to write, but more like journaling, just, what I'm dealing with that day maybe, but I never really like sat down and just like if I'm going through like some type of anxiety attack at that time, like, or just excessive thoughts, just writing it down, and looking at what I'm thinking. Like,
right.
you know that that's not, you know, come on now. Like,
right.
So, yeah, that's a good coping skill. And I'm probably going to have to try to put that into rotation
Yeah.
with the ones that I have.
I think writing is one. Reading the Bible. Now, y'all know reading the Bible is one of my things.
That is one of mine, too.
Reading the Bible, having the scripture to, like, pull out, you know, and be able to think on while I'm feeling so anxious, you know. Bible scriptures, meditation, and for me, meditation is more just like centering myself, you know, like sitting, breathing, thinking about what I'm thinking about, and canceling out thoughts that aren't real. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Thoughts that are more just a pigment of my imagination. You know what I'm saying? Or thinking about where I am presently, like being present in this very moment right now. Nothing is harming me right now. Right. You know what I'm saying? Like nothing is wrong right now, here and right now. So meditation is a good one. Praying is another one. Which is more for me communicating with God.
Yeah, that's what I feel like praying. I mean, praying to me is like, you know, I mean, I guess it's all under the same category, right. But to me, I feel like I talk with God throughout the day.
Right.
Like, especially when I'm going through life, I'm like, Lord, why am I, you know, why am I feeling this? Like, what am I doing? Like, how can I, you know, I know that these are not your thoughts. Like, you would not give me these thoughts, you know, Lord. So, like, you know, I know that I need to be doing something different. Like, what do I need to be doing right now? And, you know, sometimes that'll remind me, like, you know, who I am to him. And, you know, he would not be giving me these thoughts. And, you know, then it'll kind of make me, like, today, like, yesterday I had a kind of bad day at work. So, like, and I was kind of, like, anxious yesterday. And, you know, I know that I'm kind of, like, I'm getting ready to have my menstrual. So, like, I'm about to get ready to come on. So, like, my hormones are all over the place.
That is another trigger.
Yes, it is. Like, it really is. And I'm glad that I'm able to identify that. Like, okay, this is the time when I'm getting ready to start being hormonal. And, like, so my hormones was all over the place yesterday. And I kind of had, like, a bad day at work. Like, I had a lot of stuff, like, dumped on me, like, at the last minute before I'm getting ready to leave. And so I was just kind of irritated and, like, wanting to feel like, I wanted to be in a different position at work. And I don't want to be a supervisor anymore. Like, I don't want to be, you know, I just don't want to do this anymore. I want to do something where I can just focus on what I'm doing and not have to worry about everybody else, you know, and not be in charge of this or that, you know. So, but, you know, God kind of brought to me last night, you know, before I went to sleep, you know, I read my Bible. I read, you know, some verses and, well, not really verses, but a part of the Bible I've been trying to read, you know, from the beginning of Genesis. So I've been starting since the beginning of the year. And I'm kind of behind, but I was in, not Isaiah, but is it like
Deuteronomy?
No. Psalms and Exodus.
Okay.
Is it Exodus?
Exodus is the second Bible. I mean, second book of the Bible.
What's the one after Exodus?
Deuteronomy.
Am I in Deuteronomy?
Numbers.
No, not Numbers. I think I'm
Leviticus?
still in Leviticus. Yeah, that's what I am. I'm in Leviticus. Yeah, and so you know, it's just it's talking about how, you know, it kind of is like kind of telling you about how God is basically telling the people of Israel, like, all of these rules and like what you can and cannot be doing and this and that or whatever. And it just kind of put me in the mind of, and then, well, before that, I was actually I'm in the other book that I'm in is Luke. Okay. So I've been reading about how Jesus is, you know, he started his disciples and, you know, he chose his disciples and he's teaching and so I'm kind of like in the process. I started reading. I'm like, you know, this, you know, it's like he's teaching me at the same time, you know, and I'm learning, you know, the things that I should. Maybe not. It's not the same century. We're not in the same time. No, you know, so the things that he was saying was rules. Then it doesn't really kind of apply to us now really,
Right.
and it's because Jesus died for us and he took on all of that,
Right.
you know, so we don't have to really do all those things to repent for our sins and, you know, atone for the things that we've done, you know, in that way.
Right.
But I just been learning a lot about that. So that kind of like centered me the last night and kind of brought me back to like, you know, you don't need to be like, why are you worrying yourself about like stressing yourself about and it really, the stress from work really wasn't what triggered my anxiety. Is because I'm waiting, you know, on Monty and you know, waiting for this baby to come and just like worrying about all the things that can happen, and I just wanted to hurry him to hurry up and be here. And it's like, you know, he's gonna come in God's time, you know. So stop worrying about those things, you know. And it kind of centered me in at that time, and it made me feel at peace, you know, reading over those, you know, things that he did and you know, in that time, and Jesus teaching those people in that time, and it just kind of changing my mindset. So I prayed, you know, before I went to bed, and I'm like, Lord, you know, just give me peace in my sleep, because I just been having these weird dreams, and you know, I just wanted to have some peace in my sleep. So I ended up having this dream while I was asleep about this lady that I didn't expect to talk about this on, you know, now, but I had this dream about this lady that she was an older lady in my dream, and it was me and Armani. Armani was small in the dream, but we were like sleeping. Armani was asleep, I was asleep, but the older lady, she was dark skinned, she had glasses, she had like white grayish color hair, but in the dream she was familiar to me. Like I knew, like I knew her. So she was leaving, to go back wherever she came from, or home or wherever, and not coming back in for a while. It's like I had, like, she was leaving. That's why I felt in the dream, like I felt like she was leaving, and like I wouldn't see her for a while. So it was just weird to me, and I'm still trying to put together, like, what, you know, what, and even though Mommy was telling me, you know, so I just take it as what it is, you know, just leave it at that, but I'm still trying to figure out, like, so she was leaving, and I was just like, I didn't want to show her how I was feeling, like, I didn't want to express how I was feeling, but inside, in the dream, I was, you know, sad that she was leaving, so, I was like, you know, we was, you know, saying goodbye and she was getting ready to leave out. And so we hugged and we both told each other we loved each other. And then I just broke down in the dream. I broke down, yes. I was so sad that she was leaving in the dream. Like, I was really sad. Like, and I couldn't understand why I was crying like that. Like, I really was sad, like, type of crying in the dream. And so I kissed her hand before she left, and she left and went on or whatever. And I woke up. I can remember waking up, and I'm like, okay, so in the dream, I know that I knew her in the dream. But in waking life, like, I was like, she just seemed familiar to me. Like, I feel like I know I didn't know her. I know I didn't know.
You know you didn't,
but she seems familiar to me for some reason.
Like, her person felt familiar.
Like, so I'm like, who? And so all today, I'm just like, who could this have been? Like, you know. But I was so at peace. I felt so much better waking up this morning. Like, I just felt like, you know, I'm starting my day like, Lord, I'm not gonna let nothing, you know, my thoughts, you know, overcome me. Like, I read something, one of the verses this morning, that was, you know, that pops up on your the verses in the Bible app.
Like the verse of the day.
The verse of the day. And it has said, what did it say?
It's the shield.
Put on your shield, yes. Put on your shield. You know, like, you know, but the lady, but the lady that was speaking, that, you know how you usually say the verse, but then after the verse it'll be somebody speaking about the verse, trying to teach you about the verse. So she was saying basically, just say some verses to yourself, like, you know, God, I go before you, like, God is telling you, I'm before you, I go before you and everything, like, you know, just don't. So all today I was just like, you know, God, you go before me, like, I know I don't need to be anxious or worried about anything, like, go before, he's going before me. Like, I just felt so happy today. Like, I just felt I was in a whole different mindset today. Like, I was just like, hey, I was a B, like, you know, I was feeling different about, like, not wanting to be a supervisor no more. Like, I was like, okay, I can do this, like, this is, you know, this is what I'm good at, like, everybody, I'm good at what I do, like, everybody tells me at work, like, this is you. And when I ended up telling one of our bosses yesterday, in the heat of the hormonal moment, I was telling her, like, I don't want to be a supervisor anymore. Like, I'm sick of it. I'm sick of doing this. You know, I don't want to do it. I want to go work at a clinic. So I just want to come in at one time and leave at one time. I don't want to be staying over. I don't want to do none of this. So when I get to work today, I'm like, you know, I don't even know why I said that, because, you know, I want to be a supervisor. You know, I like what I do.
Yeah.
You know, I feel I was being hormonal. I was going before God. Really, really, I was making decisions, even in my heart, even while I was saying it to them, my managers and stuff yesterday.
You knew.
I knew, like, because I know that I'm where I'm supposed to be. I know that, you know, because I prayed.
Right.
Because when I took this position, I knew that, and I was anxious about that, taking this position, because, you know, I was agency, I was making so much more, you know, and I was making my own schedule, and I could do this and do that, and work around my own stuff and my life and what I got going on. But when I took this position, it was like, okay, I'm going to be making this certain type of pay, and I'm on a set schedule, like 5 days a week, and, like, you know, staying over extra hours, like, and just a lot more responsibility, and not making what I was making before. So I was so worried and stressed out. But God, I prayed. I was like, Lord, if this is what you want me to do, if this is where you want me to be, make it known to me, and allow me to continue to pay my bills, and not even notice. And God did what He said. He did what I asked. I can pay my bills and not worry. I'm not stressed out. Like, I've been able to tithe. I've been able to do things. You know, doing what I still was doing before. Still got money left over. Money to save.
Like it wasn't. Like it didn't happen.
Like it did. And it's like, Lord, I know He showed. Like, I was like, well, where's the sign, Lord? And this is the sign. You are not worried about your bills. You're not worried about where the money's coming from, how you gonna do this, how you gonna do that. Even though that was my beginning worry about taking a position. So I know that this is where I'm supposed to be. So, you know, that's not really an angst. I know that I'm off topic.
No, you're right on.
These are the things
She's right on track.
These are the things that have been making me, you know, being, you know, these are in my last few months of my life. You know, this is the last 6 months, I would say, since I started this position, which has been about 6 months. Like, this is where, you know, my anxiety was coming from, and, like, just waiting on the grandson, and, like, just these different things right now, this present moment, that's my anxious, like, that's where the anxiety is my trigger right now, is her. And so, yeah, I mean, I said all that just to say, like, you know, just, I feel like even though I'm going through anxiety and I'm dealing with it, like, and I may not be doing it exactly how I should be, because I know that there's so many other more things, like with reading my verses, memorizing my verses, so that I can have words to speak when those thoughts come, to shut those thoughts down, you know, to automatically doing it. I'm not always doing that, you know. I'm trying to work on, you know, well, I'm not really working on it. I need to be doing that. You know, I need to start doing it, because I know, just showing from today, like, when reading my word and Him showing me, like, I am faithful, you know. I can, you know, I can help you with this. Like, you don't have to,
like, I can do
by
it.
yourself.
Like, I can do it.
Like, you know, the devil he doesn't determine what your thoughts are, and what, you know, I can help you control these thoughts, you know. Like, stop trying to do things on your own. You know, stop trying to carry these things on your own. Like, I can help you get through this. And this being anxiety and mental excessive thoughts and stuff has been a thing that I've dealt with my whole entire life. You know, not my whole time, but since I've been a little girl, since I can remember.
Since you can remember.
Yes, I've been dealing with these things. So, you know, and I'm still, yes, I've been coping with it for so many years, and I still go to those go-to coping skills. That's probably not really helpful,
or
you know,
healthy,
and not serving me, you know, at all. You know, it's not giving me what I need to release this anxiety, and I could probably be free right now from it if I would just do things the way that God wants me to do it. You know, and just release the control to Him. But I'm still holding on to the control, like, and I still want to be able to control that, you know. And that's like, you know, God is like, I keep doing these things for you, you know, and you just keep going, reverting back to yourself, and, like, who are you? Like, who are you?
I feel like a lot of people go through that, though. I don't think I don't think that anyone has arisen in that area, you know. I feel like being in a point where you can totally alleviate yourself from all mental stresses. I think, you know, I think that Jesus said it perfectly. You know, we were going to be in this world, and in this world we were going to find trouble. You know, that's a sure bet. Like, trouble is a sure bet. Stress is a sure bet. Going through things in life that you cannot handle all the time is a sure bet. Like, those things are sure. But what's even more sure is that we could be of good cheer because he overcame it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that's a part of the reason why, you know, we didn't go with like dealing with anxiety or living with anxiety. No, we're overcoming anxious thoughts because every day we're doing it.
Yeah,
whether we know it or not,
yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Because he's working in us to be able to overcome those anxious feelings that would cause us to go in a direction that maybe we shouldn't go in.
Yeah.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I think that it's awesome that you can find these different skills that are helping, and even reading the word is medicinal.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like a medicine for your mind. It's a medicine for your soul,
yeah.
you know, and it grows you in the spirit so that you don't have to feel defeated by these thoughts.
Right.
You know, defeated by these feelings, by these mental stresses that are sure to come.
Right.
You know, and having that shield of faith.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that was one of the scriptures. That was the scripture that came up on mine too, actually, about the shield of faith and how it keeps those darts from coming our way.
Darts, right.
You know, like they're gonna come for sure, but it's your faith. You know what I'm saying? It's what you have faith in that's going to protect you. You know what I'm saying? In those moments, you know, it's the same with me. I got a court document today, and I was like, wow.
What is this?
Okay. But see, I knew that it was going to come because my faith has been standing in one direction, and I knew that it was going to start hitting. You know, the pressure is on when you start believing in something. You know, the pressure tone, it like turns up and up and up. Oh, you think you overcame it, right? Let me turn this heat up, you know. But it's really just so that we can continue to flex that faith muscle, you know, so we can get stronger.
And that's what I'm about to say, and it's showing you how to use that muscle.
Yes.
You know, how to use your faith.
Right.
And use, you know, God. Like
Use him.
Use the Holy Spirit, you know, that he gives us to, you know, to help us
Right.
walk through our daily anxieties.
Exactly.
You know, and how to use certain antics and tactics to, you know, deal with these things that come along. Because like you said, they're going to come. Like, God never said that we wouldn't have trouble.
Right.
We wouldn't have worry. We wouldn't have fear. We wouldn't have, he didn't say that we wouldn't have it, but he will show us how to deal with it and to, you know, get through it, you know. And it all, I was thinking about, you know, Easter just passed, and so I don't know if I was reading something from the Bible app or something, but it was talking about how he had 12 stripes on his back, like he got whipped 12 times, and each stripe meant something. Like it just wasn't for any reason. It was the number itself. 12 was for a reason. You know, it was for, you know, each like stress, disease, you know,
anything that could happen to you in the body,
like and he took on all of that, you know, for us, you know, so it just reminds you to, you know, we don't have to live with it, you know, we don't have to. God, he took the ultimate sacrifice for us, you know, he took every stripe, all 12 of them, for whatever it is that may come to us, you know, so. That kind of centers me when I read that, and I didn't know that it was 12 stripes. I didn't know that it was 12 lashes, you know, that he went through, and I didn't know the meaning of it. I didn't understand why, you know, he took those exactly 12, you know. And that kind of made me be like, okay, Lord, you're like, you know, it's just, he just shows us every day, like, how faithful he is to us, you know, if only we could just believe in him. And, and our faith is, like, the thing that's the most important thing to him. He wants us to have faith in him, you know, and... You know, it going through anxiety and stuff, it just makes us build that faith more stronger, you know. So
I think that's why too that there's some things that God doesn't just take away from you, you know, not just because you're not perfect and nobody can be perfect on this earth, because that means you would have been Jesus, you know, but also because we need him, you know, and we have to stay in a constant understanding that we need him. That's the only way that the Holy Spirit can take his place in our lives, when we learn how to submit ourselves to him, you know. And I always find myself being grateful for the harder things in life, especially in regards to mental health, because it causes me to stop.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Like, I want to be so busy doing this and busy doing that. And a lot of the times it's only because I want to distract myself from whatever it is that I'm thinking or whatever it is that's heavy on me, you know. So I want to do this and I want to do that. But when I'm dealing with something and I know I gotta deal, I've learned over the years to deal with it. Yeah. Stop running away from the stress. Stop running away from the depression. Stop running away from the mental anguishes that I go through. Right. Instead, actually lean into it and figure out what it is that God is trying to say to me in that moment, because it's not always about the devil. You know, like, it's not even about the devil. We about you. Right. We put so much emphasis on the enemy. You know what I'm saying? That a lot too. Yeah, because it's true. Like, we really highlight him a lot when it's really not even about him. It's right. It's really about the Lord and what is he trying to do with you in that season, and how he's trying to get the glory from what it is that what you got going on. Like, it ain't you. We glorify the devil, like, for giving all these troubles and problems, but it may just be something that you're doing. Like, right. Exactly. That's causing these things to keep coming back. Like, me too, with my anxiety. Like, it's like, why haven't I been able to deal with it and move on from it and move past it? And every time I go through something, it's like I'm back. Back to step one. You know, it's because what am I doing? You know, and I'm really, thank you, Holy Spirit, for giving that to me, because really it's something that just really came to me just now. Like, you know, what are you doing? You know, like, what are you? It's you. It's not the devil. It's you know what you should be doing. You know, you know you should be going to your word. You know you should be thinking about me first and shooting down them thoughts, because you know they're not from me. Yeah, you tell yourself. So we're back. There was a bit of a technical difficulty. I guess the devil didn't like what we was talking about. So, but we're just going to flow right into the advice that we have to give to others who are experiencing anxiety, or maybe they don't even know that they're experiencing anxiety. We would say to take note or take heed in what we were experiencing as we discussed how we felt anxiety, the actual feeling of it in our bodies, and the things that we were thinking on, the things that we were experiencing in our lives at the time when we were experiencing those feelings of heart racing and panic and sweaty palms and shaking of the hands, because that's what I've experienced a lot. Sometimes it's even just excessive thinking, like excessive impeding thoughts that are like negative, and like you just can't seem to get past those thoughts. Like, that's anxiety. Right. Yeah. It's like, you know, excessive worrying. Excessive worrying is a big one. Being so worried about a thing that it causes you to have avoidance behaviors. Where you want to avoid a person, place, or thing, you try to avoid all types of different nouns because of what you are worried about or what's going through your mind. So those are some key things to take note of. And if you're experiencing those things, because we are not psychologists, we're not psychologists, we're not psychiatrists, we're not counselors, therapists, we're not pastors. We are just people who have experienced and have been diagnosed ourselves anxiety. And we're also mental health advocates. I call myself an advocate because I am really true on people getting their experiences out and understanding that it is not something to shy away from. If you are having a mental health struggle, if you don't feel like you're at tip-top shape in your mental health, then see a doctor. Talk to a professional. I totally believe in talking to professionals. I believe that they help. I do believe, and I'm sure you can attest to the same thing, that you have to find the right one. You have to definitely find the right one, because I've been through several that I just feel like just wasn't meeting my needs. And if they're not meeting your needs, you know, go find, you know, okay, this will be the last session. And go ahead on and find somebody that's right for you. You don't want to wait. And we're back again. Another technical difficulty, but we are here and we are strong. But we are going to wrap up this discussion. Again, mental health is super important, and it definitely matters. It is a topic that is way overlooked, and it's been overlooked for so long. Yeah. But now I think it's getting a lot more headway than it has ever before,
especially for Black women.
Yes,
I feel like we're supposed to just take on so much and right. Just be so strong all the time and like just not really, people just brush our feelings to the side, just men, women, like white people, like, well, I mean, maybe I shouldn't have said that, but
it's true.
I really feel like, I'm sorry that I said
it's what you feel.
I don't mean to say white people, but just in general, like people just dismiss
overlook
our
us.
Feelings, and our mental health, and like we're just supposed to be strong all the time. And that's just not what it is. Like that's not reality. Like reality is that we deal with a lot of pressure, and we may smile and push through. And, you may never know what we got going on, but we are facing issues, mental health issues, things that we're dealing with with our mental, that people may not know about. I'm sure it's people now that may be watching this that has never even said anything to anybody about.
I'm sure too.
The thoughts that they're feeling and dealing with on a daily basis, and they may have been dealing with it for many years and never said anything to anybody about it. But it's time to speak on it. Help somebody else. Help your sister. Help your brother. Help somebody that is going through the same thing. And don't know how to deal with it. Don't want to deal with it. Give them the tools. To be able to push through and deal with it. So that we won't have to be living in bondage. Of mental health. Because it's bondage.
It is.
It's jail. In your mind. You don't want to live like that. Like, who wants to live with dealing with these excessive thoughts, anxiety, things that God didn't intend for us to live and deal with, these things that are causing us to not live our best life that God has intended us to live, our very best life. He doesn't. This is not the life He set for us. We're supposed to be living, to our best life. More than we even could think, than we even think for ourselves. God has so much more for us that we can even think or see or perceive. So we gotta seek help. Deal with it now. So that you can, and we're not passing it on to our
next generation.
Right. We're not passing it on to our kids. Or people that look up to us. We want to be able to give them good tools to use, telling them who to go to, who to look to, what to look for when you're dealing with these things, how to deal with it when you're dealing with it.
So, in conclusion, we have the understanding that everything for us that has worked when it comes to anxiety is having faith in God.
That's it.
Just trusting and knowing and understanding that He cares for us, and putting our faith in that. All of the anxious thoughts just seem to melt away in an instant when we put God first, when we think on Him first.
You use Him as a stronghold first, like something to lean on first. Use
him as a tool.
Use that, make that your first tool. And you won't have to worry about any other tools because that will be the only tool that you need. Really, it's just trust in Him. Trust Him enough to know that whatever you're feeling, whatever you're going through, whatever you're facing, He is going to get you through it. Because He didn't send His Son for us to just die for nothing. It's not in vain. We are, His children. He loves us.
And
he
wants
us to be able to use, to know that this is why this is the reason. He used His Son for us to be able to come to, so use Him first.
Use Him.
Make that the first option.
Let Him be your shield,
not the last. So then you're gonna go through a bunch of
Right.
Other things.
A bunch of other stuff
Right,
that's
that's probably not
unnecessary
gonna
that
work.
you don't even need
I
to.
mean, it may work because not just saying that God gave us other tools to
Right.
use here.
Writing
You know,
and reading
therapy,
and
He put people here
seeking
for us,
help.
right. Mm-hmm.
Go seek help.
Yeah.
Go seek professional help. That is a really
Right.
key tool.
Mhm.
And talk about it.
Right.
And this podcast is the opportunity for people to talk about it, to get it out, to let it out. And my prayer is that this podcast helps with that very thing, to get it out. And after coming on the show, you should feel somewhat different, somewhat better than when you came, or even listening to the podcast. You should feel somewhat better than when you first started listening to it than you did before you did.
I know. I feel like this was like a therapeutic. This was very therapeutic for me. Like this, I feel like I'm helping myself and
Right.
helping you,
Right.
and helping whoever's watching.
Right.
But it's even just one person. Like I feel
Exactly.
like somebody can relate to me. Somebody can feel, what I'm feeling and been there and done it, and and if I could just help one person just use one tool that I said, or it would be all
worth it.
Yeah.
Yes. So thank you for watching. Thank you, Wynita, for being here. And I didn't mention it, but this is my sister. This is my sister, so I know we resemble one another. Yes, this is my sister. I am so blessed. My big sister. Mm-hmm. So blessed to have you here.
Yes, I'm blessed to be here.
And for that...
What? Yes.
Thank you for watching today, Journey to Freedom. I am so glad you got to the end, and I really hope and pray that you received what you needed while we covered overcoming anxious thoughts. I'd like to say a special thank you to Wynita for joining me today on this episode. Thank you for watching.